It's the 2nd of January, 2023, and this is a short, concise public service announcement and command for changes to be made immediately. Now, who I am speaking to is you. You, Carlos McDonald. You apparently act as the BC Land Title and Survey Public Service. Is that right, Carlos? Well, we are going to talk about my spouse, and we're going to talk about stolen property. Stolen by way of application and title fraud. That stolen property is located at 604 Polyanthus Crescent, as you can well see here, Carlos. Now, Carlos, I identify as counsel, and you will refer to me as counsel. Now, I'm going to show you my identification so you know that I am the woman with authority and I am the woman in authority. Now, as you can see, Carlos, the address located on this identity card is 604 Polyanthus Crescent. Now, that property has been in my family, Carlos, for 20 years. 20 years, Carlos. Now, that property was placed, well, here's the original real estate listing for the home my family has been caretaker of for 20 years. We took possession January the 30th, 2003, Carlos. All right, so you can see here I have plenty of proof for you, Carlos. Now, you just saw the name of my spouse. You'll also see my spouse's name here. Sorry, Carlos, let me turn this around for you. You see this here, Carlos? So that property became trust property on January the 27th, 2016. It's trust property, Carlos. And my spouse is the grantor. And as you can see clearly here, Carlos, I am the woman who is controller, trustee of that property. Now, are you aware, Carlos, that twice a week in Canada, application title fraud is happening? Are you aware, Carlos, that there's $100 million in fraudulent mortgages across Canada? Well, now you are, Carlos. You need to be aware of what's going on around you. So, are you aware of your obligations, duties, and responsibilities to everybody and anybody around you? Are you aware of my rights pursuant to the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights? Are you aware of my rights, your duties and obligations and responsibilities pursuant to the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women? Are you aware of your duties, obligations, and responsibilities towards myself, who is a racial minority, being I'm not from this world? I have Rh negative blood. I'm one of the peculiar people. You are enjoying the 12 days of Christmas right now, Carlos, are you not? Right? Because apparently my brother's the reason for the season? Right. Okay, Carlos. Well, let's take a look at here. So here's what you're not going to be doing, Carlos. You're not going to be discriminating against me. Right? Because you can't. Because you're a public servant. And so you have to adhere to these conventions that Canada is a party to. And you more than likely don't know them. I run into public servants all the time who don't know what they're supposed to be doing. So let's take a look at one of the most important parts of that convention, Carlos. I have the right to security and protection by this province against violence or bodily harm, whether inflicted by you public servants or an individual group or institution. And I have the right to take part in government as well as in conduct of public affairs at any level and have equal access to public service. Now, that's very important, Carlos. You need to understand that. I also have the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. That's exactly why you're going to do everything I'm about to tell you to do. because I identify as counsel because I am counsel, Carlos. I don't associate with members of the bar, Carlos. I know exactly what they are, and I know exactly who they are. So what's going to happen, Carlos? I'm going to take this Instagram live post, which is not going to be very long, and I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel. It's my YouTube channel here, Carlos. And in the description box of the upload, what you're going to find are documents pertaining to how that property was stolen. Who stole it, why they stole it, what it's been utilized for. Okay, and that's also the Instagram live post, Carlos, is also going to be listed here on my BitChute channel. Because there's a constant problem, Carlos. There's a constant problem. So right now, Carlos, there is a fraudulent title on that property held by two criminals of 1474 Faircliff Lane. You can see their address there. They do not have a valid mortgage or a valid title on that stolen property, Carlos. All right? That's who's got unlawful, illegal possession of my stolen property, Carlos. So you have their names and you have their address, so you know where to find them. And so now I'm about to inform you of the common law. This is the common law. It's common to all, Carlos. And it's to do with mortgage fraud. Because Scotiabank has issued a fraudulent mortgage to Sandra Dennis and Benjamin Howe. And Jackie Seabloom of the Douglas Street branch, Scotiabank, is fully and completely aware that that's stolen property. So in April of 2009, the persons pretending to be the BC Court of Appeal held that unless a mortgage is granted by the true owner of a property, the mortgage is invalid and the owner's title is returned to the original state. That's exactly why I'm letting you know, I'm providing you instruction that you have to follow immediately. These instructions take effect immediately, Carlos, and you're the one who's responsible for this. Now, as we can see, Carlos, this is the state of the title when my spouse passed, and so this is the state of the title now. So this title certified that on March the 14th, 2013, this was my family's property. There's the address, there's my spouse, there's the municipality, there's the parcel identifier, the section, the lot, blah, 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 blah. There's your signature there. Hey, are you a registrar? Well, I also identify as a registrar. So I never gave consent for that property to be stolen. I never gave consent for CIBC and CIB solicitors to commit application and title fraud to steal interest private property. They never had consent. They still don't have consent now. And so you'll receive documentation, depositions of how this happened and who did this. So you have to put the state of title certificate, you have to return it back the way it was. Because this is the common law. This is the common law right here. You can see it right here in black and white, can't you, Carlos? So you'll be receiving this notification on Twitter, okay? And there's something else you need to be aware of, Carlos, right? I'm the victim of 2 acts of genocide in less than a decade. So you have duties, responsibilities, and obligations towards me because I am the victim of crime. I'm the victim of genocide, actually. So you have to treat me with courtesy, compassion, and respect, including respect for my dignity. So you don't tell me no, and if you need paperwork done, you'll be contacting Murray Rankin and Mike Farnsworth. If you need any paperwork done, I'm employing them right here, right now, to do any paperwork you might need done. Is that what you need, Carlos? I don't need electronic signature, and you will wait till pigs fly if you ever think that you're going to be receiving a property tax transfer document, Carlos, because I'm letting you know right now, as well as all the persons who act and pretend to be the District of Saanich, that this is the terms and conditions of this trust fund. Do you understand this? Do you understand that I, the trustee, may at any time compromise, settle, or waive any claim due to or due by this estate for whatever consideration and on whatever terms I decide and extend, continue, or renew any evidence of any liability I may have as endorser, guarantor, surety, or otherwise for any liability of any person. You also need to understand that I may convert the estate or any part of the estate into money and decide how and when and on what terms, and I can keep the estate or any part of it in the form it is at my spouse's passing and for as long as I decide, even for the duration of the trusts in this will. This power applies even if the property is not an investment authorized under this will, a debt is owing on the property, or the property does not produce income. Even if a debt is owing on the property. Now, the District of Saanich has been issued a foreign judgment for millions of dollars in trespass and damages against myself and my family for aiding and abetting money laundering in the district. By aiding and abetting the absolute destruction of my gift. Knowingly, willingly. Okay, Carlos? So you're not going to be receiving the transfer property tax documents from me, because that property is not subject to property taxation. And now you're all aware of that truth. So there's trespassers on that property, and they're leaving. The hydro has been cut off, and I'm going home, and no one's going to stop me, because as we can all see, since January the 30th, 2003, that property has been taken care of by my family. And now I hold, Carlos, do you get this, Carlos? I hold the common law right to exclusive perpetual use of that property. Now, these changes are effective immediately, January the 2nd, 2023, and your failure, Carlos, to comply with the instructions you have just been provided will result in criminal charges against you and civil liability against you in your personal capacity, Carlos. You get it? This is not rocket science, Carlos. You're going to do exactly what I tell you to do. You put the state of title certificate back the way it was, because that is the common law. Do you understand, Mike Farnsworth? Do you understand David fucking evildoer Evie? Do you understand Murray Rankin? Do you understand anything? I've been out of that house for 3 years, and my entire inheritance was embezzled, and you will find in the description box all the proof that you're ever going to need. Do you understand?